Hey guys, it's Glitchy Mango here, ready for our second pubbing with Glitchy, I suppose we'll call it. Went alright last time, played with a couple of things, hopefully the frame rate should be a bit more steady this time around. Let's dive right in. When going over my footage for the last one, I actually noticed the reason I couldn't pick up that helmet I wanted is because I actually had the upgrade button on, which a bit stupid on my part. Not the game's fault, that was my fault. I'll take full responsibility for that one. Alright. So we just joined one, looks like it's just about to start. I don't have money, so let's begin. Alright, I think this is the second last campaign mission. So it should be relatively entertaining. Oh, and I have a new ability now. It's not too bad. I had to play with it on the dummies in the tavern. Easy to look at it. And I also forgot to mention last time, every character has a secondary attack. So for the Huntress, that's basically just pulling back the bow and then releasing for a big hit. It causes knockback and quite a bit of damage, but it's not as damage efficient as, say, just spamming. So it's a good ability to use when you're switching lanes and things like that, so you can just build up damage and then let it go. Or if you just need to knock back an enemy. So a nice way you could use that is, say, by knocking them back into your own traps and things like that. You get the gist. Let's see if I can just keep them back together. Some trap builds. Yeah, so even if they walk over your trap, it just keeps building it. That's alright. Still learning a fair bit about this game, as I'm sure you guys have figured out. Right into it. Pressing air lane. It's a nice little, so some maps will have like secondary defenses. If you lose them, you know, you don't lose the match or anything, but you lose a benefit. So basically on this one, what this seems to do is exactly what it says, presses the air lane, but if that got destroyed, then we'd have to deal with more flies and things like that. So even though we don't need it to win, it does benefit us to keep it alive. Let's ready up. Grab some quick loot down here while we wait. Anything else? Yeah. Something there. At some point I'll show off the Squire for you guys. I will get around to it. I'm just sort of sticking with the Huntress for the moment, just trying to focus on her. Alright, so I gotta remember that this air lane is here. For a second there, I thought I forgot to turn my mic on. That would have been a bit dodgy. But like I said, I'm still very new to this, very paranoid. So just bear with me and my typical stupidity. You never know, you might enjoy that. So be careful of those kobolds. Don't want them taking me out again. I do have a new bow this time around, you might have noticed. Basically, I think just after the episodes, that's when I'm going to be doing, you know, the whole equipping new things and stuff like that. Just so, well, I just think it might be a bit boring. So I figure I may as well just do that between episodes. And for any future games I play, I might do boring stuff like that between episodes as well, like grinding and things like that if I ever do that. And then I'll just let you know what's changed at the start of each episode. I think would be a good idea. pretty good team. Everything seems to be going fine. Not really any big drama to deal with. There are a couple of towers behind me if they push me back, so I do have a fallback if I need it. They go help that right lane, just pick up these last couple of enemies. So that guy on the books, he's actually a healer. There's a few of those in the game, you know, enemies that do different things. Any healers, it's a very good idea to take them out first chance you get. Otherwise, it's going to make their lane a lot more efficient, because as their enemies are taking damage, they're also being healed up. And that can allow them to basically siege blockades for longer. And that's normally where you want a hero to come in and just take out the healers. Looks like he's checking out our lane. So there'll be 6 flyers next round, and 58 coming from here. Not too shabby. Or I suppose we can stand to give that a quick upgrade. And just chuck a poison down. It's always helpful. To be somewhere where they're not going to attack it. And yeah, that should do. So if they push into there, that'll just add a little bit of extra damage. The poison tower itself does very little damage. It's obviously the poison that does the damage. I haven't actually grabbed the chest yet. That was a bit of a mistake. Hopefully they don't finish readying up before I just grab those things. Sweet guys. Alright, I might just quickly throw an upgrade on that poison tower. The flyers might target that as well. I need to be careful of that. Let's get the AoE damage. I'm definitely pushing it a lot faster this time around. I need to use a bit more abilities this time. So as used, it's probably worked out by now. You know, to use mana, to use abilities, you spend mana, you gain it over time, and it's also dropped when you defeat enemies. I generally don't have too many mana problems. I think the mage is normally the class that has mana issues. Maybe the monk as well, I'm not too sure, but it really depends on how many abilities you're using, how often, and things like that. You want to try to space them out a little bit, just so you're getting some mana back. Oh, they actually have suicidal flyers. I didn't know that. Now I do. Thankfully I survived this time. Get in there. Maybe you push this place back, eh? That is one of the nice stun abilities that the Squire has. I quite like it. It's great. The Squire actually has a lot of abilities that prevent aim and fishing. You know, he can taunt, he has quite a lot of crowd control, good damage output. He's really good as a solo hero, just covering lanes by himself. And if you're going to be playing, you know, a lot of solo games by yourself, particularly offline, the Squire and the Mage are your best choices there generally. You know, whereas if you try a Monk Huntress by yourself, you're going to have a bit of a harder time, particularly with the lack of walls. Eventually I'll give the Monk a spin as well. So I reckon he'd be a bit of fun. Let's keep those up. Do an upgrade there. Let's grab a chest, see how many gems we get, see what options we have. I really need to get in the habit of actually checking out where the traps are in the maps and things like that. It seems like pretty much every map I've played has some kind of trap or something going on, which is pretty nice. It keeps it interesting and organic. And it makes the maps feel a lot more different this time around than what they did in the first Dungeon Defenders, especially with the secondary objectives. And it's also something I could see being nice in Endgame, where I imagine they're going to scale the content up I'd imagine, I don't know that. I'll just throw an upgrade there. Maybe just, yeah, chuck out one of these. Just slow him down a little bit. Alright, since it begins again. I'm not sure if there's any flyers coming in this round or not. I didn't check. So we'll have to just keep our eyes out on that. There's already one coming in. You just see from the mini-map. Oh, and it's a suicidal one too. Just what I wanted to see. There's actually quite a few on suicidal cobalt this time, but he's in the crowd before I die. Clean that up nicely, good abilities. Yeah, that's it. Get some. Better push him back in. The flyer's heading for an age, he should be alright. If my commentary is a bit boring, let me know what you'd like to see more of in commentary, what you like from gaming to commentary. Again, I'm still figuring this out. I like to think of myself as having a relatively likable personality. I hope that's not conceited of me, but it's more what I'm worried about is I might focus my commentary too much on the wrong things. So again, advice greatly appreciated there. And just, as a rule, just let me know what you guys would like to see, and I'll try to provide best I can. I haven't got to the barricades yet, so I'm not going to shoot that one. I think the dragon softened it up a little bit. They're back up. So you can actually jump on the towers and the blockades, things like that, just for a little bit of safety. Some repairs going. Definitely less lag this time. I think it might have been fraps. I just reduced the FPS it records at by a little bit, and I think that's done the trick. Let's get repaired up. Let's go grab a chest. Not that kind of chest, glitchy. Alright. As well ready up. I think everyone's looking to just get straight into it. Quick upgrade. Basically I'm just putting these here just to slow them down a little bit as they come down the lane, which should help me out a bit. They are pretty good for that. Again, they're not going to slow them down anywhere near as much as a wall would, but it does help buy you a bit more time to get your damage out. The little water traps are not too bad at all. Just throw out our phoenix. Stands out. It is a bit weird using this bow after using the previous one for so long, because the firing speed is a bit less, so it just feels a little bit off. But that's not an issue with the bow, obviously, that's more just because I'm not used to this kind of bow. Just get this guy out of the way quickly as possible. I didn't actually see him, I should have taken him out earlier. Chuck some oil. I need to be careful with my health, because I've let it get down a bit, and if I'm not careful something can come along and burst me. Again, just grab our abilities, nice and easy. Stun, let's do a quick bit of healing so we don't have to worry about that as much. Obvious thing, this is not really the best game for pubbing. I mean, you can pub and it can be fun. I'm definitely enjoying myself with it. But this is really a game that shines with friends. So definitely, like, you know, if you have friends you can regularly play with, get in on that. It's a lot more enjoyable that way. I need to use my abilities a bit more sparingly here. Amount of issues. I think we just about cleaned up the wave anyway. Everyone's helping that one squire clean the rest up. I apologise for any murmuring or if I talk too quietly or anything like that. Alright, what we got? Flying support, flies over defences, chain attack defences. Yeah, so if you build your towers really close together, that sort of enemy would be good at damaging a lot of them quickly. Which is, you know, incentive to spread your towers out a little bit. There's so much bloody loot in this game, half the time I don't feel like picking it all up. That's one little nitpick I have of the game. It's more a personal thing. I normally don't complain about too much loot. I am a loot whore, but I definitely think there's maybe a bit too much loot that you just end up selling almost as soon as the match ends. And a lot of it, like the vast majority, you never use, which isn't a system I really like. I prefer loot to be more useful. Like, other games have had that problem and they've fixed it. Diablo 3 had that problem for a long time, and Blizzard, you know, did fix that. Alright, we got a mini-boss this time. So basically, sometimes when they introduce new units, they have them spawn in as a mini-boss, rather than just a regular unit, which is what we're getting here. So the unit we saw earlier is the same mini-boss that spawned up in the map now. Oh, I think there he is, I think. Yep. So he spawned in my lane. The squire's come to help me out. Generally, once a mini-boss spawns, you want to send at least 1 or 2 guys over there just to deal with him. A lot of the time they're not too hard, but the more people you have focusing on, the quicker they'll die. They generally have a lot of health, as you can clearly see here. I was just spamming away at him, just waiting for him to die, really. Oh, he almost died. A clever play there, but the risk from the squire. I don't want to focus too much on the boss because if he builds up too many allies, they're going to be able to push our lanes down really fast. So I'm just sort of transferring from dealing with the boss to dealing with the enemies. The sooner we get him down, the better. Oh no. I'm always dying in this game, aren't I? It's not a Glitchy Mango playthrough if he doesn't die, I suppose. Up. We'll just I suppose we may as well grab some loot while we're here. Don't need to worry too much about the other lanes. The mage is handling it, plus another huntress. The map is really good in this game, I do want to say. It's really helpful and it's very easy to keep a track of what's going on in the lanes at all times, as long as you just, you know, glance at the map every so often. And that is one thing they've done really well here. It's not as needed in, say, a team environment, but when you're pubbing, the map really helps a lot, and you can quickly see which lanes are having trouble or which have a lot of enemies built up, things like that, where your attention needs to be going, basically. Whereas in a more teamed environment, the people you're playing with can just, of course, tell you when they need help or what's happening where. Right. That went pretty well. We'll see what sort of loot we get. I assume the next map, I think, is the last one in the campaign, so I imagine it's where we fight the dragon, which is the first big boss of the game. They always seem to add a little bit of comedy or cuteness into the cutscenes, which I appreciate. As always, I'm a bit under leveled to be using the gear, but no big deal. Let's ready up. I'm enjoying this this game and this series. I think we're just gonna calling it Pubbing with Glitchy, and I'll just play like random games that I have the permission to monetize. Mostly at the moment it's just going to be Dungeon Defenders, but there are a couple of other games I'm thinking of doing. I need to check in to see what the copyright rules are there. But it should be alright, and hopefully this can be a bit of a series. I'm also hoping to do just a let's play of the odd single player game, and also 5-minute reviews where I pretty much just use some of my footage from games that I've captured and just talk about in 5 minutes or so what my opinions are on the game. Alright, so we can pretty much wrap that one up here. We'll just wait for this loading screen to finish and we'll end it. That wasn't too bad, went well. Hopefully we'll be able to go into the next boss fight without any dramas. Words, Glitchy Mango, try words. And well, I'm Glitchy Mango, thank you for watching.